Welcome, future Bronco Nation converts, to my video on why you should be a Boise State fan. I've listed out the main reasons why people become fans of the teams, and I'm going to show you why you should become a fan of Boise State. Starting off with uniqueness, Boise State has had a blue turf since 1986, when then athletic director Gene Blameyer decided to put one in, and they haven't looked back. You can't get any more unique than the blue, baby. It is the first colored turf to go in, and Boise State actually owns the patent on colored turf. So all the other teams that want to put in colored turfs, Eastern Washington University, Western Michigan, Coastal Carolina, there's a couple others, when they wanted to go put in blue turfs, they had to ask Boise State first if it was okay, because they own the patent. That's unique right there. When you add in additional to uniqueness factors, the crazy uniform combinations that Boise State comes out with, combining blue, orange, white, and even black uniforms together. We've got a chrome orange helmet that looks awesome. You can't get any more unique than that. Boise State is the school to be for if you're looking for a team that's unique. Now, another reason people become fans of a team, exciting playing style. Well, Boise State has a balanced attack. Then throughout its 25-year history, has had every single season has had a 2,000 yards passing. Every single season. For all but 8 of those, it actually had 3,000 yards passing. So that's a pretty pass-heavy attack, right? Well, also, they've had a balanced run game. Prior to the COVID season, Boise State had 11 straight rushers who had rushed for over 1,000 yards. That list included greats such as Doug Martin, Jay Ajayi, Jerry McNichols, Alexander Madison, and George Halani. The COVID season, unfortunately, threw a wrench into things and kind of messed up that streak there, but balanced passing attack. So Boise State, you get the pass and you get the run. In addition to that, Boise State has an exciting offensive style where they mix in multiple tight end shifts. Tight ends, fullbacks, and even quarterbacks get involved in the receiving game. In fact, Boise State every single year since 2004 has had a tight end go for at least one tight end, go for over 100 yards receiving, except for 2013. And multiple years, Boise State had tight ends go for over 400 yards receiving. I haven't even talked about the most famous part of Boise State, the trick plays. Boise State is famous for its trick plays, of course, in that 2007 Fiesta Bowl against Oklahoma, where they threw out 3 trick plays to win the game, hook and ladder, halfback pass, and the Statue of Liberty to win that game there. But Boise State that continues to live on that trick play style. While they're a balanced attack that brings a balanced offensive focus to the game, they'll often mix in trickeration, throw a backward pass to a tight end or a receiver who will throw it downfield for a big gain. So Boise State is an exciting play style to watch, and if you're looking for exciting football with a unique factor, Boise State's the team for you. Historic legacies is another reason why people pick teams to root for. You can't get any more historic than Boise State. Well, you can get more historic. They're a recent school, with football being established in 1932, university being established in 1932, but they are a team and rising to the FBS level in 1996. But despite that recent football history, Boise State has established themselves deeply in college football legacy. Of course, starting off with that 2007 Fiesta Bowl win, which is ranked by most people as one of the best football games of all time. If you haven't seen it yet, look it up on YouTube. It'll blow you away. I watch that game at least once every single year, and I get goosebumps every single time I watch it. It's incredible. Boise State has also won 3 other Fiesta Bowls, against TCU in 2010 and against Arizona in 2014. And before UCF, Cincinnati, or any of the new uprising Marshall or whatever, any of the new uprising Group of 5 schools, Boise State was the BCS buster. While it's true that Utah did win a BCS Bowl before Boise State in 2005, they later went on to join the Pac-12 in 2010 and had a much more prolonged history of football before that point. Boise State is the true underdog team, that small town school, small town team that rose to the top and proved to everybody else that they could do it. Boise State's that original BCS buster, and it was a play style of Boise State and the fact that they were never given the respect they needed in the BCS era, but despite rising into the top 5 multiple times, they were never given a chance to play for national championship. It was the play style of Boise State, among other reasons, that pushed people to want to expand the playoff system, even though in execution that's been completely jacked up and has caused a situation that's even more unfair to Group of 5 schools. It was Boise State's original push and their excellence that pushed the committees and powers that be to want to expand the playoffs to give a better chance to teams to come up. And now that we have an expanded playoff system potentially in the offing, Boise State and other Group of 5 teams might actually get a chance. If you really want to see a good video on what I think would be a perfect solution to this, go on my YouTube channel. I have a video recently produced last couple days that talks through a perfect solution that would fix all the current issues in Boise State. But back to the main video here. People like teams that are winners. Boise State, since 1999, has had only 5 seasons where they didn't win 10 or more games. And one of those was last year with the COVID season where they didn't even play 10 games. So really 4 seasons where they haven't won 10 or more games. They have, as I said, 3 Fiesta Bowl wins. Since 2002, they have 12 conference championships, though they did lose the one last year, but there's a lot of factors going into that one, including COVID, coaches moving on, that kind of thing. And then they're the winningest school. They actually are the winningest school in college football history by win percentage. So Boise State has a 0.731 win percentage, comparing its wins, losses, and ties. And then other 2 teams on that list just behind Boise State, Ohio State with a 0.73 and Alabama with a 0.729. So Boise State has a better win percentage than Ohio State or Alabama. If you're looking for a winner, Boise State's the team for you. Since 2006, Boise State doesn't just compete well against a group of 5. Boise State has done an incredible job of knocking out the big dogs, going after those Power 5 teams. Since 2006, Boise State has wins against Florida State, Oregon, who they've actually beat 3 times, Washington State, Oregon State, again, who they've actually beat 3 times, Washington State, who they beat twice, Virginia, Virginia Tech, Arizona, Arizona State, Georgia, Utah, who they beat twice, though they did beat them when they were part of the Mountain West, TCU, who they beat again when they were part of the Mountain West, and then, of course, big one, Oklahoma, the one that put Boise State on the map. Now, however, people like to root for teams that are also underdogs. So despite Boise State's winning percentage and their incredible winning past and dominance of their conference, Boise State is still a national underdog. They're still not given the respect that they deserve in the media or the polls. And despite really being a Power 5 type team, since they play in the group of 5, they are often classed into that group of 5 category and looked on as just another up-and-coming group of 5 team, even though Boise State deserves to be considered among the nation's elite when it comes to college football. Now, the Power 5 to Group of 5 gap has always been a big issue, but recently the American Athletic Conference has caused another issue where now the American Athletic Conference is becoming another rival to Boise State and the Mountain West, and another reason that Boise State is being looked on as an underdog. Despite almost identical conference strengths, when you actually look down to it, when you look at the winning percentage, when you look at the teams that these teams beat, when you look at head-to-head, when you look at Power 5 matchups, despite almost identical conference strengths, and with the Mountain West actually having more wins against Power 5 teams in recent history, the AAC, the American Athletic Conference, is seen as a stronger conference. They get better, and there's 2 reasons for this. One, the American Athletic Conference is incredible marketing. They have an incredible job of marketing themselves as part of that Power 6, putting themselves into the national perspective, and making people just start to think of them as better than they actually are. The second reason is that famous East Coast bias. Pac-12 suffers from it just as much as Boise State does. Pac-12 Mountain West teams, they play later in the day because of being on a different time schedule. They play later in the day compared to the East Coast teams. They don't get those highly sought after primetime slots, and people just don't watch as many of their games. So people watch more of the American Athletic Conference. When combined with the marketing style, they start to think of them as better than the Mountain West, despite the fact that the Mountain West is at least equal with the American Athletic Conference. And I've actually made videos in the past that have talked about why the Mountain West should be considered better. As just a perfect example of this, in 2019, Boise State only had 1 loss by 3 points to with their backup quarterback in. So 1 loss, only a 3-point loss, didn't even have their starting quarterback in due to injury, to BYU. And they only finished the season number 19 in the rankings. Versus Memphis, who had a loss to Temple, Temple University, who went 8-4 that year, and they ended the season ranked number 15th, just from beating off other teams within their own conference. They had a win that season against a down Ole Miss team. They finished the season again with 1 loss, but they finished 15th and went to beat the New Year's 6 versus Boise State. Routinely, the pollsters put the American Athletic teams into the rankings, while Mountain West teams with similar or better records are left out or barely noted. So if you're looking for an underdog team, just because Boise State is an incredible winning percentage, an incredible job in their conference and against Power 5 teams, you've still got an underdog team here to root for with a chip on its shoulder who's going to be willing to go out there and fight. Connections. This is the final reason that I think Boise, and it's really the biggest one, that people pick a team to root for. Now, these connections can come down to family connections, can come down to school connections if you went there, sorry, or they can come down to if you lived in that area. Well, let's talk about those 3 things. So Boise State has numerous degree programs, both online and residential, but great to be looked into. Boise State is a great place to live and visit, especially if you're an outdoorsman. Outstanding skiing, outstanding hiking, biking, rafting. I just rafted the Boise State River last week when I was up in Boise. Outstanding place. I would love to live there if I could. due to my job right now. I can't actually live in Boise, but if I could, I would. So Boise State, outstanding place to live. But aside from that, if you never get a chance to actually live in Boise State or get a degree from them, you can still have a connection to Boise State. Boise State, their football team at least, is a great... They found themselves in traditional American values. That's the word I'm trying to go for. Through their hardworking work ethic, that's hence the blue collar. That's their blue collar work ethic. They give their all. That's why they bring the hammer. They actually carry an actual sledgehammer onto the field. The best player, not the best player necessarily, but the player who makes the biggest hit defensively or the best player on special teams gets to carry the hammer out onto the field. They are incredibly humble. If you watch Boise State post-game interviews from the coaching staff to the players, and even preseason interviews, those players are incredibly humble. They're never giving it all about themselves. It's always about the team. It's always about their team or their families or their God. It's always about somebody else. They are always putting it back into the team, back into the community. Boise State players, despite incredible success in the past, always incredibly humble. And then always good sportsmanship. Boise State fans, if you get a chance to go visit a game, you'll get to have an incredible experience. I guarantee it, especially if you're a military team. When Air Force is a rivalry of ours, but it's not a bitter rivalry because Boise State deeply respects the military and what the military does for our country. And so when you go to a game, you won't hear any booing for the Air Force team coming onto the field, and with deep respect for the military members there. And then finally, Boise State, after every game, the players meet up and they pray in the middle of the field, which just puts them back into the fact that there is faith in something bigger than football. So football, at the end of the day, is just a sport. There's something bigger than all of that that's going to be having a bigger impact in our lives. So if any of these things that I just talked about, hard work ethic, putting your all into everything, humility, good sportsmanship, or faith in something bigger than yourself, if any of those things connect with you, well, guess what? You have a connection with Boise State, and I think you need to become a Boise State fan. So thank you for watching this video. If I've convinced you to become a Boise State fan, make sure you go on Facebook and join Bronco Nation Updates. It's the biggest Boise State Facebook group or fan group with over 8,500 members. Great chance to get and connect with other Boise State fans, especially new converts such as yourself. If I haven't convinced you, still make sure to stick around all season. I got exciting content coming out. It's not all Boise State related. I'll have some other college football stuff that comes out. But just stick around. Give us a chance. Let's watch my videos, see what you think, and see if we can't convince you later on. So thank you for watching my videos. And as always, go Big Blue.